Everybody, just doing a little bit of table update today. I just want to talk a little bit about some Beastmen that I'm painting right now and some inspiration that I'm getting just from the old Heavy Metal painting guide. I wanted to talk a little bit about some new cheap brushes, which is always a fun subject for me because I like finding good cheap brushes. They're kind of like finding like a good cheap wine, like a wine you really like the taste of, but you don't want to spend a lot of money on to have around the house. It's like about the same kind of thing for me. And then I think there was something else, banners. I want to talk a little bit about making my own banners for my Beastmen too. And so, yeah, I'll start with I mentioned that I wasn't going to be showing like Beastmen that I've already painted and that I'm just filling the ranks with, because that's kind of what I'm working on right now. But I thought this was sort of worth showing in that this is actually like a Beastman champion, like a typical one that I would use, because like this model came in for this generation of Beastmen, this model came in the champion, or I should say the command pack, where you would have a musician, a champion, and also a standard bearer. And whether it be the Bestigors or the Gores, this is like sort of that generation, the model that you would use. So in painting several of them, like this would be a typical way I was doing it, and I did use some metallics like on the shoulder pads, and where there is some cool detail for this guy. And then I just kind of made it the horns just normal bone color. I thought is an interesting model. Like when I was first painting it, there was really just a lot going on here. And initially I was like, wow, like what is all this stuff, and even this, I wasn't sure like if that was like part of the bone or not, but it clearly is. I mean, when you look at the ridges on it. But then when it came time to paint more of these, I thought, well, what am I going to do really? Like, am I just going to keep kind of like just change maybe this fur and just kind of keep making variations of this sort of scheme? And that would have been fine. Like it would have been totally fine to mix them in and have them that way. But what I ended up doing is I ended up pulling out my resources for the old Heavy Metal painting guides and found, coincidentally, this miniature in there. And so I'm just going to just quickly, boom, right there, put it up, and in looking at it, I'm just kind of looking it off on the side while I'm recording this. I'll edit it in later. I can see that they went for kind of a cool red color for the horns, and then a fade into what I'm going to assume is maybe a purple. And I don't think it's a fade to black on there. I think it's more of like a purple. And then really the shoulder pads are really cool. Like they're kind of like red and yellow, combination, so they really pop. And so I thought, I'm going to use this as inspiration, and I'm going to try to do something close to this as far as my inspiration for these two that I have to do, because I have to do two more. And so I've only been blocking in the base paint. I haven't done any highlighting, and in some ways I still have some base paint to block in, some blacks and dark grays and things for like this isn't completed, like the hood that he's wearing. There's like I don't know. There's something on the chainmail there below, like a belt buckle. There is some things for me to still do. I went actually a little bit lighter on the hair than I normally do for my Beastmen for some of them that I'm doing now, just to be a little different, and I'm actually kind of happy with it, the way it stands out. But I am going to try to do the horns as they've done in that photo for these two. And yeah, I think it's really cool. I just thought I would share it, what I'm working on, and that this is sort of like what I'm doing with these two guys. And I think because I'm really excited to see where I can get with them as far as when I highlight up and I kind of get all the fine details done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to name these two, and I'm going to name in my inspiration of the Heavy Metal painting guide, I'm going to name in Beastman language this one Eavy and this one Maida. Eavy Maida for heavy metal. And so that's who they're going to be. They're going to be my named Beastman champions. And so that's kind of what I'm doing there. I thought that'd be a fun thing just to share. And then one thing that, like I was saying earlier, that I really like to do is I like cheap brushes that work well. And a lot of times what happens, I'm going to just pull out here a little bit. A lot of times I find that when I get a brand that I like, of like a cheaper paintbrush set, and Brea Reese has to probably be my favorite that of the cheap brushes that I actually use. And sometimes Walmart has them, sometimes they don't. They've moved to getting these big packs. They used to have smaller packs with maybe 4 in them, but more often than not, they have these large ones, which do get a little bit more expensive, even though they're still a cheap brand. And I end up with a lot of extras that I don't need as much. Like, it's not that I can't use these really large block brushes, like on terrain and things, but I do end up with like a lot of like large rounds, you know, and stuff that I just won't really use too much. Like if I'm buying a lot of these to get the little ones, like I'll end up with a lot of those, which that's kind of a negative for me. But on the one hand, there's usually a few that I really like. And like I am working with one right now that's lasted me for a bit. And it's like this sort of, and it actually is not one of the smallest ones. It would be like what I would almost kind of call like a standard brush, you know, like a regiment painting brush, blocking in colors and things. And this one is, yeah, it is Brea Reese. It's hard to see on the black here, but it is a Brea Reese, just like these. Basically this set. Now, I was at Walmart, and I noticed, and I don't know, I think it's because it's in a different section than their painting section. It's more like in another part of their craft section. Mod Podge, which makes a nice product. Many of you may have used Mod Podge just to affix certain paper products to other paper products. It's kind of like a glue, but slightly different. And they have a set of 10 detail brushes, which was actually really cheap. And I was looking at them, and I thought, these look like really promising, because when looking at the set, well, they have nice points, and there are a lot of little ones, and this one's really small. It's at a point. It looks like a really, really fine small one, and for details and things. And then they have some of these others here. And then there is like a little block brush, which I think is great for dry brushing miniatures. I like this style because it could allow you to dry brush in specific areas of miniatures without getting too big. I do use the Army Painter oftentimes for this. And if you look, even at when you start, it's bigger. It has the tip, like the edge, which allows you to maybe get in there a little better, but this one is smaller, and I've used this style brush from other companies in order to achieve the same thing. I'm just trying to see who I've used. This one was one that this one is similar to this, and you can tell I've used it quite a bit for dry brushing, but it's actually just one I grabbed off the shelf at Mark's. And it looks like La Continental, like it's a shader, and I don't remember how much it cost. Certainly more than this mixed in with these. Like this was probably like $7. That brush probably cost me between $5 and $6 alone. And so then of course we have another block brush here, like I call it, I'm using the wrong terminology, I'm sorry for the artists out there. So again, it does have, you know, a couple that, it has a nice point on it that I'd be less likely to use for certain things. This one I do like to use for washes, like this fine tip long kind of style, to put washes on things. But I actually think overall could be really nice. So I will report back. I'm going to start using these. I will report back in the next bit. I'm kind of in the need for some smaller fine tips, you know, to get some work done. Yeah, because the one that I have is getting kind of long in the tooth. And so that's it. Mod Podge detail brush set, found at Walmart. Very, very good deal. And very promising. Lastly, banners. So for the longest time, I felt really stupid because I've been playing with just my banners like this. Nothing on them. No attempt, you know, to try to do anything different. And I thought, you know, I really do need to give my beastmen some love because I'm playing them a lot and they deserve good banners and my army deserves to look better. And so I did actually take these from the Beastman Army Codex, and I've done 2 now. I have to do more. Like, I have to do the one I just showed you after I paint that one. I have others to do, but these are sort of my first tests. And these came from the Beastman Army book, and I literally just took a hobby knife. I photocopied the book, cut these out, and then I've never done this before, and so this is how I knew to do it. You know, I basically used a matte spray on each side of these first, and then I used a Sharpie set. Trying to see if I have it around here to show where I put it. It doesn't seem to be within reach. But basically, it's a colored set of markers. Actually, I have one of them from the set right here that I used. A colored set of markers from Sharpie. This is a brush twin, so it actually has like a little fine brush on this side. And then it has its normal size brush on this side, which has a very nice tip to it. I will tell you that the vast majority of these I did with this. I didn't actually need to use the fine brush, but for some really, really small area, like in the eyes of those skulls and stuff, I used the other tip, which is nice though because they're the same exact color, right? Like they come off the same ink. And so I used that. And then it did bleed through despite my spraying on each side. And so like all those skulls like and different spots get like red bleed through because I just initially did red. And like, you know, like the back would be entirely red. And then what I did is I just went over with white paint and yellow paint where I needed to achieve that kind of look. And in the end, you know, I ended up using... I should do maybe another update at one point on my gaming, but I ended up, for the first time since in a while, first time that I can remember, I ended up doing like a group of 9 Minotaurs with a banner in my last game, and it was just awesome. Actually, I didn't have the banner at the game, but I put it on afterwards, so it's more of a reward. But basically I'll have it at the next game. But this guy was at the game. I actually did it the morning before the game. I had my first time with a banner on there. And yeah, it makes it, like, I don't have to tell you guys, it makes it look so much better, like when they're all on the field and they have actual banners rather than just the standards. And so without them. Anyway, that's what I'm working on. Some fun stuff. And I hope you guys are having a good week and you guys are making progress and things. And talk to you later.